Greetings community, and welcome to another edition of your District and You. I'm your host, Dr. Tahira Dupree Chase, Superintendent of the Greenburgh Central School District. Like many other school districts throughout the state of New York, in May we will introduce a $65.6 million budget to our community for vote. This particular episode is dedicated to explain to you what our budget entails, to explain our process, and to share with you different activities that are going on in our school so that you will know exactly what to expect on May 17th. I brought with me the administrative team of the Greenburgh Central School District. So before we get started, I'd like for the team to introduce themselves to our community. So I will begin with my left.
I'm Mary O'Neill. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Business.
And
Greetings, Dr. Ron Valenti, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum Instruction and Personnel.
And on this side, we have our principals as well as our athletic director. We'll start with our athletic director.
I'm Mario Storano. I'm the athletic director this year.
My name is Kiana Washington. I'm the principal of R.J. Bailey Elementary School.
My name is Robin Schamberg. I'm the principal of Woodlands Middle School.
Greetings, Matthew Smith, principal of Woodlands High School.
Hi, I'm Gary Mastrangelo. I'm the principal of Highview School.
Hi, I'm Patricia Simone, principal of Leah Jackson School.
Greetings, I'm Dawn Mail. I am the director of the Early Childhood Program.
And we have our directors and supervisors. We'll start with Miriam.
Okay, hi, I'm Miriam Burnaby. I'm the Director of Arts, Music, and Special Programs.
Hello, I'm Rocco Garullo. I'm the Director of Digital Learning, Systems, and Accountability.
Greetings, Michael Falcone. I'm the Director of Facilities Operations.
Hello, I'm Sergio Alfonso, and I'm the Director of Transportation.
Hi, I'm Terry Kincaid, and I'm the Director of Student Services.
And this is our all-star administrative team. Thank you all for joining us for this very important conversation that we'd like to have, where we get to share with the community not only what our budget entails, but what's really happening in your buildings and your various departments. Oftentimes people really don't know what's happening in our buildings. So if you are a parent at Leah Jackson, you may not know what's going on at the middle school or the high school, and you may not know what our technology plan is moving forward or what our facility needs are. That being said, last year, community, you supported our school budget. Our budget passed by a 73% margin. In fact, it was the highest margin rate in about a 10-year history, and we thank you for your support. Your support afforded us the opportunity to continue our world-class programs. Your support also afforded us the opportunity to maintain our staff, and we appreciate it. This year, we hope that we will be able to maintain our staff. We hope that we will be able to maintain our programs and expand upon programs that we have and actually bring in new initiatives with your support. So, Mrs. O'Neill, we did a lot of work with the community as well as with the school board to bring this budget to a $65 million amount. How did we do that?
Well, we started out meeting with all the individual buildings and departments, and we worked together to develop their budget. And as we initially included our wish list items, and then we worked through the whole process, we were able to have a lot of savings with the retirement incentive that we offered. That netted the district about $700,000.
Okay.
We had several additional retirements on top of that we were able to have some savings. The district looked at BOCES services that we were able to reduce and be able to bring some students back, as well as other services that we can do in-house that we don't need to pay for that.
Okay.
We were able to issue requests for proposals early this year, so we were able to have a couple $100,000 in savings there.
What does that mean, request for proposals?
What we did is we issued a request for services, and it would be for things such as plowing, it could be for the lawn maintenance, carpentry, electrical. And because we did that early, we were able to secure additional pricing and new pricing for next year.
And how did that help with our budget?
We were able to actually reduce prices that we were currently paying this year for next year.
Okay. So you talked about our BOCES contracted services. Are these mostly curriculum-based services?
Yes.
Okay, so then let me ask Dr. Valente, what services in particular are we referring to in terms of the reduction of services? Will that negatively impact our students?
On the contrary, it positively impacts both the students and the taxpayer.
Okay.
That's what I think is most important about it. because you're spending money in BOCES or external services doesn't mean you're buying the best services for students necessarily. So what we did was we looked at a number of services, speech, certainly BCBA services that we're expending huge amounts of money, $300,000 to $400,000. And the question logically comes up, can we provide that more effectively, cost effectively, and programmatically more effectively for our students within district? And the answer came out resoundingly yes. We've done this in other districts with great success. So why not have the Greenburgh students and taxpayers benefit from that as well? Secondly, with respect to BOCES, and BOCES provides wonderful programs. This is not saying anything other. We have a number of our students in special needs programs at BOCES. And the question looms, least restrictive environment. It happens to be the law of the land, LRE. Can we service those students within our school district as effectively or more effectively than BOCES is currently doing? And again, the answer is yes. So we are looking at servicing youngsters within the school district next year, particularly at the secondary level, at far less expense, hiring our own staff within district to do so. Okay. So those are just two examples where external services can be reduced, help students with a better environment. Teachers who Terry Kincaid, our Director of Pupil Personnel Services, can manage together with Matt Smith, the principal of the high school in this case. And we're providing a better environment for our youngsters and fulfilling the law in terms of the least restrictive environment.
And that sounds like it's going to be a really huge savings to our school district.
It is, and a tremendous benefit, and we look forward to launching it.
Fantastic, fantastic. So when the governor released his budget, it appeared that the gap elimination was restored for most school districts. How did the Greenburgh Central School District benefit from that?
Well, actually, over the last 6 years, the Greenburgh schools have had about $3.7 million reduced based on the gap elimination. This year, when the state budget first came out, they were anticipating withholding about $200,000 from us for the gap elimination. But fortunately, when the budget passed, they did eliminate that, so we were able to have an additional about $200,000 in revenue restored to the district.
Okay, and I have to ask you a question about Governor Cuomo's tax rebate program. How will the community benefit from this particular program based on the budget which we're presenting to them?
Well, our budget is below the tax cap. If anything, we raised the tax levy by maybe $60,000, which is virtually a 0% increase. And because the district stays under the tax cap, taxpayers may be eligible for a rebate of any increase.
Okay, and what does that mean to stay below the tax cap?
Well, if we stay below the tax cap, the district is required to have the normal budget vote where we need to receive 51% of the vote to approve our budget. If we were to go over our tax cap, the district would be required to receive 60% of the voters to say yes.
Okay, okay. So this year, our schools, our students benefited, as well as our various departments benefited from the community support from last year's budget vote. And I'd like to just ask our ECP director, Mrs. Dorn Mill, how did the students of our ECP program benefit from our community support?
Our students benefited from our community support. We're implementing the math program this year. We were able to provide the appropriate materials needed to carry the lessons and activities forward with the children. Teachers this year also, thanks to Dr. Valenti, because we self-taught, because we were on our own last year and the year before, when the Common Core at the pre-K level came out, now BOCES, they're offering training. So with the help of Dr. Valenti and his support, with our district math district math curriculum meetings that we have, a flyer went out. I have 3 teachers that are going to the modules, so that this way we're looking to see, it's huge, but we're looking to see, are we on the right page and the right approach in terms of the learning.
You indicated that you were on your own for the past 2 years. What do you mean by that?
When the federal government came out with the Common Core, it hit state, it came down to the pre-K level. We never had standards, we had developmental ranges. With the standards, there was no training. So when New York State began to adopt the Common Core and took it on, what ended up happening was that a lot of the districts who took on the Common Core took it from pre-K to 12th grade. Our district, with our challenge and your support, Marge Clarkson, when she was here, decided, you know what, we're a pre-K to 12 district, and many of the districts that were pre-K to 12 did not do that. We decided to take it, if the other grades are going to do it, to have that common vocabulary, the spiral effect within the Common Core itself. We decided to take it on, and there was no training. So the teachers and I began just using our PLC teams to start to unpack it and open it up to see what is. We had teachers that went for the training during the summer, along with teachers in the other grade levels, to explore the math Common Core. And so we decided to take it on with the help of Mrs. Clarkson last year towards the end. We were not able to have our teaching assistants a part of it due to the teacher's contract, but it helped that at the end, Mrs. Clarkson built in 5 sessions where we were able to come together and make that happen. Like I said, speaking with Dr. Valenti this year, I am again blessed because we are piloting the ELA. And with us piloting the ELA, we're noticing it's massive, it's huge. We can use the additional support. And I had a conversation with Dr. Valenti, and he's going to help make that happen for us in terms of us being able to come together with our teaching assistants, because it makes a huge difference when you have that classroom support.
Sure.
When you talk about dealing with the very young children.
Very good, very good. And you know, I just want to also just underscore the fact that for the past 2 years, your teachers were one of the few groups of ECP pre-K teachers to actually launch the Common Core within this particular region. So kudos to those teachers. At Lee F. Jackson Elementary School, you were able to continue some fantastic programs and even initiate new ones. Why don't you tell us about those?
We had an incredibly busy school year, and what was great about it is, and what was very busy about it, the entire district implemented the ELA modules and the domains. It started the early childhood and spiraled up through the high school. What we did at Lee F. Jackson was we piloted the domain last year. We looked at what were the important standards that we had to teach, what domain was going to be appropriate for the IB units of study. We merged them, married them, so this way we took more and we made it appropriate. So with that, that really is what's fabulous, is that it spirals.
Sure.
So the students are coming in prepared and going to the high school.
And there's common language. So the students hear the language at ECP, they hear it again at Lee F. Jackson, and then to Highview. What's happening at Highview this year?
A lot of what we've already heard from ECP and Lee F. Jackson. Ms. Simone mentioned Foundations. Foundations is a primary, essentially a primary word language program that runs up through 3rd grade. So our teachers are really just picking up the ball where the Lee F. Jackson teachers left it. Our students are learning Foundations as part of their language arts base. We also took on the domains this year. The standards are called domains at the younger grades. And the math modules we've been using now for 3 years. And the students are finally getting the hang of it because they had it in pre-K, they had it in K1, now they've got it in 2-3, now they're getting the hang of it. A couple of other things that are really, really exciting that started this year at Highview School, and thanks to Mr. Verullo and his technology team, there was, as we're kind of going along our school year, Mr. Verullo sent along an invitation for a robotics program, sort of a competition, a tournament. And I sent it out to my staff, and one teacher in particular in the 3rd grade, Ms. Davenport, who really, I think technology is her middle name. She took this on and said, you know what, I want to do this with my students. And it was a competition throughout the entire country. And our students were broken up into 4 teams, and one of our teams actually finished, I believe, in the top quarter of the entire country for the very first time they tried something. It was wonderful. It was such a great learning experience, and from that, now, especially if you know, with the help of the community, when the budget passes, not if, but when the budget passes, we are going to look to incorporate some after-school programs next year regarding coding. So we sort of worked backwards. I said to some of the teachers, let's do some coding. How about some coding workshops? And they said, what a great idea. Let me learn how to do it first. So they went out and got trained, and they're ready to go. And then when Dot and Dash came on board, the little robots, we have some teachers who are ready to grab that robot bull by the horns and say, let's have some after-school programs next year. So we're very excited about some coding things going on, and thanks to Mr. Barullo and his team, we're excited. We're excited for the 2nd and 3rd graders next year and see what comes from it.
That's great. And speaking of next year, Dr. Valenti, Mr. Mastrangelo spoke about coding, which sounds like it's under the STEM umbrella. Will this particular budget, the 16-17 school year budget, support that particular initiative?
More than support it, yes, definitely support it, but, and this is thanks to your idea, quite frankly, give credit where credit is due. We're going to hire a director of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, we added arts, and technology, STEAM. And that will be a pre-K to 12th grade initiative that will allow for not only support for a healthy, robust robotics program, but as importantly, from pre-K to 12, we're now going to have an individual dedicated to curriculum in science, technology, and engineering to inform that curriculum. We're very strong, I believe, in the ELA and math areas. I think we need to strengthen our effort in terms of the science area, not only in terms of extracurricular activities and broader activities for students, but within the curriculum itself. So the Director of STEAM is a new addition, a very positive addition, and will also help with the International Baccalaureate program that is evolving into the high school. You may want to talk more about that later as well. So there's a lot to complement that, and it complements our current efforts with Rocco, Miriam, and Terry as to what the director's roles are.
Fantastic. So I think those teachers will be able to do coding next year at Highview with the support of our new STEAM director. And that leads to R.J. Bailey. What happened this year with R.J. Bailey?
Well, because of the community support, R.J. Bailey, we were able to actually structure our schedule a little bit different. We have a master scheduler who is Joe Callaghy at R.J. Bailey, and I'm so thankful to him. The teachers are now teaming. Our motto is teamwork makes the dream work. So we have teachers dedicated to ELA and social studies and science and math, because we did notice that science was lacking at R.J. Bailey, and we wanted to enhance it. So we're really excited about that. The teachers love the teaming approach. The students get to go from classroom to classroom. They have 2 main teachers. And in our 6th grade, we were actually able to make a mini middle school schedule. So they're not just teaming, they're able to go to at least 4 different teachers for different subjects, because we wanted to help them with the transition to the middle school, understanding how to get to class and how to deal with different personalities. It has been a real exciting event, and just talking in reference to science, we also implemented a new science program along with Science 21 that we had. It's called Science Fusion. So teachers that really were, I guess, a little apprehensive of teaching science, they teach it and they love it. We have a science lab at R.J. Bailey that we were able to maintain and keep, and so our teachers go down there and they're just in love. The students, I love it. I go, when's the last time you had science? We had it today. And I love that energy that comes out of that. Also, at R.J. Bailey, we understand that we have the whole child, and we understand that we are international baccalaureate. we implemented something called Sustainability Days, where we're teaching our future leaders how to sustain the earth, how to sustain themselves, their health, understanding what we can do. And just yesterday, we planted, Mike Falcone, an apple tree at R.J. Bailey, Honey Crisp apple tree. I am very excited about that. Hopefully, I can make apple pie. I'm not really sure about that yet. But we're really excited. The students were able to plant the tree, and we just want to continue to be more than just, we are academics, but we want to be able to go out into the world and help. We also have a project going on now where we're doing pinwheels for Syria, and there's this big world initiative where you create pinwheels, and a company will donate $2 to other students in Syria for their educational purposes, and we are doing that right now at R.J. Bailey. So we are, with technology, a one-to-one device school. Thank you, Rocco, for that. We are so excited about Google Docs. Our kids, they have a Google password that is secure. They go into their Google Docs and they are able to share their documents with their teacher. I know the middle school has this great thing too, but our babies go in there now, they can actually have, a little bit more skills in that. And they share their documents, they do Google Slides for presentations, and they feel really good about themselves because of that. So we also do coding at Bailey. Our librarian, it was so funny, she wanted to bring the hour of code, and the kids fell in love with it. One day, my son was at my computer, I'm thinking he's watching Nickelodeon, he's coding. So it's just a great initiative, and I want to continue to bring more initiatives to Bailey, but right now, thank you, community. Because of you, we can sustain so much at Bailey.
Thank you so much. And the STEAM director, too, is going to be very, very helpful in the initiatives that you've already started and will continue to grow at R.J. Bailey. And I like the fact that you've developed the middle school model, which leads me to our middle school principal, Robin Schamberg. A lot is going on at the middle school this year. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Of course. We really appreciate the community support. So much is happening at the middle school, and we couldn't do it without you. So to continue, we're really excited that they're having a middle school model for the 6th graders at R.J. Bailey for the continuum of students to come to Woodlands Middle School, because we do have 240 Chromebooks this year, thanks to Mr. Barullo and his team, and to, of course, the community support. And they are well used. They are, students in English classes are also using Google Docs. You see students writing and peer editing. You see teachers who are commenting on students as they're working on their writing. It's a direct tool in our technology class with Miss Manny, the same thing. She has the students all with their secure logins and using Google Docs. Because of having 240 Chromebooks this year, we were able to do our iReady assessments in one sitting for the entire middle school, which was efficient, effective, and allowed us to get back to the focus on building upon where those students started on their baseline assessments. So the technology, smart boards in every classroom, it's wonderful to see the kids who this is who they are, living in 2016. And because of the support of the Greenburgh Central School District in this community, we're able to give them the tools in classrooms to do what they need to do and to prepare for those jobs that we don't even know what they're going to be by the time our kids get to college and beyond. So that is an enormous support. And it also is a great support that we have been able to keep our very creative, innovative teachers who are eager to try out all this technology. They just, like the kids, they're, in some cases the kids are teaching them, I have to admit, but they're eager to learn, eager to try out new things, eager to let kids be presenters. They don't have to be the center of everything. Students are creating their own learning and being able to synthesize what they need to know and present it. This is our 2nd year of implementing both the math modules and the ELA modules for Common Core. So our kids are really grabbing onto this, and I'm very confident that they are going to be these well-rounded learners, and having an IB program that they will also have this idea of what it means to be a global citizen. We have great programs going on. We have a very active IB club of kids who support the IB program, and I also want to say we have a wonderful co-curricular program. Mary, our athletic director, is here. He's supporting a strong modified sports program. We have over 40 clubs, new clubs, kids are thinking about clubs in terms of service, not just about what's in it for them, but what they can do to make this community better. And that's really an amazing thing for children at middle school age to kind of step out of themselves and see themselves as having an impact on their community and making a difference, a positive difference. And I just want to sum up by saying that tomorrow we're having a very special day at Woodlands Middle School in the afternoon. We're having the Art of Happiness. Our librarian, Joy Alter, has put together an amazing program where kids are her keynote speaker. And her motto is, happiness is an inside job. And we're going to teach middle school kids who sometimes get so worried about things to realize that happiness is something that comes from within, and you can find ways to make happiness as a choice rather than something that's directed by your peers or what you have and what you don't have. And that's not really what sustains you as a happy adult. So I think I'll stop there.
Wow. Talk about your world-class schools. We talked about becoming a world-class school district in the next couple of years. And community, because of your support, it is so evident that we are definitely on our way. Our flagship school, which is our high school principal, Mr. Matt Smith, can you please share with us, how are you helping this entire district become a world-class school district?
First, I'd say thank you to the community for supporting the budget last year. Our seniors have secured $4.9 million in scholarships. And I would take our senior class college acceptances and put them against any senior class across New York State. We're very competitive academically. Currently this year, with the support of the budget, we were able to infuse more rigor into our curriculum by having advanced placement classes. Our students have taken on the challenge of the more rigor, and they're doing extremely well. We also had 2 seniors that are semifinalists for the Merit Scholarship Award, which is a national award which puts in the top 5% of the nation. So as we move forward with the support of the budget, we are looking to partnership with WCC, Westchester Community College, to offer advanced placement courses. It's called the ACE program, Accelerated College Experience. So we're looking to have our students graduate Woodlands High School with a minimum of 12 college credits. Our staff is very excited. We've been doing training with WCC, and once we solidify our contract with them, we're going to move forward. So we're providing our students an opportunity not just to be ready throughout high school, but to prepare them once they move on from us. So we have the best students in Westchester County.
I agree.
Our teachers are ranked 87 out of the top 100 in New York State, which is out of, I think, 200,000 school districts, if I'm not mistaken.
There are 700 school districts
So we're ranked 87.
in New York State.
So we're ranked 87 out of, our teachers are ranked 87 out of 780. So we have a phenomenal staff here, great kids, and we really appreciate the community supporting our kids. In the arts, we continue by adding more programs in arts. We have a guitar lab class. Our kids learn to play the guitar for the first time. A music composition class where kids are actually composing an entire piece of music. And the amphitheater is getting worked on outside, again, with the support of the community. And we're going to have our spring fling concerts every Friday where the kids go out there and have spoken word, poetry, and they can play their instruments. So we're very looking forward to springtime and just showcasing our kids.
We have the best kids.
Yeah.
I'm in full agreement. Mr. Smith, you spoke about $4.9 million worth of scholarships to date, April 21st.
Yes.
Those are mostly athletic scholarships, right?
No, there's not one athletic scholarship. These are all academic scholarships and grants.
Wow. We really do have world-class students. Fantastic. That is amazing. What was your graduation rate last year?
Graduation rate last year was 94% last year.
Okay, and we've maintained that, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. We're on our way to world-class status. And in speaking of athletics, we have our athletic director, Mario Scarano, and we have some fantastic athletes in our school district. Why don't you tell us about the athletic program, thanks to the community support?
First, I hope to change that and have a number of athletic scholarships coming in the very near future. Our interscholastic athletic program provides each year approximately 550 kids an opportunity to participate in interscholastic sports and competing with schools throughout Westchester and Westchester County, as well as the other 4 counties in Section 1. We have a total of 40 programs, 40 teams that we offer, 29 varsity programs, which consist of 9th, 10th, and 11th graders, 11 modified programs, which takes care of the 7th and 8th grade students. In our feeder program, we have 51 coaching positions available. Some of our highlights this fall, we had our varsity football program compete in the Section 1 finals, which is an honor. We had cross-country host the Westchester County Championships, which is also an honor because it seems that Jason Parker and Luke Driscoll have developed such an outstanding cross-country course that everybody in the section now wants to come here, and they're thinking about hosting the states here as well, which would be a real kudo and a feather in Woodland's cap. Our teams this winter, we had 3 outstanding teams that won league championships. We had the boys bowling team, and we had the boys and girls basketball teams that both represented us at the county center. And I believe the girls team that went to the finals probably played one of the finest high school girls basketball games that's ever been played at the county center.
Nice.
Had 2 young ladies, young lady from Irvington and a superstar from Woodlands, and she's only a 9th grader, score approximately 88 points between the 2 of them, which was phenomenal. It was just amazing. And we're now excited and looking forward to this spring and finishing up the spring season. And I firmly believe that athletics is a wonderful balance to academics. And through both, I think we can achieve our goals of making our kids as successful as they can be in life and in the future and in life.
And I think we have a swimmer who's been in the news,
I
right?
I also have that. You didn't want me to use a cheat card, so. We also had Tisha Hyman in basketball, a 9th grader. She's a phenomenal young lady in every aspect, academically, but athletically, she has scored over 1,100 points, and she's still a 9th grader. She has an opportunity of surpassing the young lady from Austin who scored over 2,000 points because she still has 3 years to play. We have Kamani Sr. who participated in swimming at the state, which is and he set I think 5 or 6 individual his own individual personal records as well going through the process. And we also had a young man in Kataka Sumner who represented us well at the states in wrestling. Yeah.
Right. There's so much going on in our school district, so many wonderful things, and not only in our athletic programs, but you also heard in our academic programs. So, Mrs. O'Neill, of the $65.6 million budget, how much of that actually goes to athletics and academics? Because one would think it all goes to the schools, right?
The majority of the budget does go to the schools. Roughly 75% of your budget is salary and benefits.
Okay, and the rest?
The rest you have your BOCES budget. You have roughly about $5 million that goes towards transportation. Buildings and grounds will support the actual buildings and infrastructure in the buildings.
Okay.
Our technology department also supports it, but I would consider that going towards the buildings.
Okay, thank you.
And I think it's important, if I might point out, the correlation between academics and athletics. We've talked a lot about academics and athletics here. It's a very high correlation. And the community should be aware that to the degree that students participate in sports, they are academically supported and do well. And conversely, students who are performing well academically oftentimes migrate into the whole athletic area. So I think we need to look at that correlation well.
Very much.
And that's a really good point, which is a wonderful segue to the correlation between the academics and also music and art.
That's absolutely true.
That's right.
I like
Right?
that.
Students who excel in music and art
Absolutely.
typically excel very, very well in the academics.
That's
so what's
so
happening
true.
in the music and arts thanks to the community support?
Well, I have to say, thanks to the community support, the principals alluded to curriculum mapping and to the spiraling curriculum. And I am so excited to say that the arts and music department is now mapping on the online curriculum. And what I think is so exciting about that is not only the idea that you have a spiraling curriculum and people know what they're doing in the grades below, but in addition knowing what's going on in the classroom so they can support classroom curriculum with the arts. In addition, that framework is really based on the IB. And in addition to having content and skills, which you would ordinarily put on a curriculum map, you're also putting enduring understanding and essential questions. And that is so huge. Like, for example, I'll give you, in music, an enduring understanding would be that music is a universal language. And a critical question, an essential question might be, how do we communicate in music or through music? Now, what does that conversation look like in Jackson with the babies, with the 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds? What does it look like when they grow into Bailey and then in the high school? It looks very different, but it's such an important thing to have that conversation continuing. And it's so mindful, and it really takes our whole teaching to a whole different level. And I think that is really exciting. So I'm really thrilled that we're doing that. And in addition, we also have PLC leaders now in music and art. And it just really puts art and music on the map in a way that it hasn't been before. But in addition to that, I have to say that, you know, I like to think that our mantra in art and music is opportunity, providing opportunity for our students. I mean, think about in visual arts. Our students have been helped side by side working with their art teachers, but also professional artists doing murals. Even the babies at Jackson, they're doing fabulous murals. Now we not only do murals in our schools, we're doing murals on the windows at Town Hall. I mean, it's really wonderful to have that kind of experience. Then you talk about music. You are learning music, learning how to play an instrument, learning how to sing. But in addition, we bring in an opera program this year. That was new. That was so exciting. Now, is every child going to be an opera singer? No. But you know, it might spark interest in just that one. That is just fabulous. Dance, we have, you know, we teach dance, African jazz, ballrooms, Latin, we do all kinds of dance training here. This year we brought in the Dance Theater of Harlem. That was so exciting to see the students with professional dancers from that company, and it just gives them new hope and new opportunities. And I'll just talk about theater. Theater, of course, this was the first time that we had a whole full-length musical theater production at Bailey, Shrek. And we brought those Shrek children to Broadway this year, and not only just to see a show, but they participated in a workshop in a dance studio with the actors who were on the stage, and then they went to see the show. This is what you call opportunity. This is what you call really being part of the whole real world. And then, of course, the high school production of Into the Woods, which just took place. It's growing. It's a spiraling of opportunity. And we bring in speakers also. I mean, this year we had Ilyasa Shavaz come to the high school. These are literary artists and musical artists. I just think it's exciting because it's important to expose our children to the world, and I think that's what our aim is. And of course, it's with the community's help that we're able to do that.
And with the community's help, we're able to maintain our art programs. You know, in so many school districts, when we begin to talk about areas in which we need to cut, oftentimes, and unfortunately, it's the art programs that are cut. But I think it's pretty evident just from your enthusiasm and what you've shared with the community thus far, and you only gave a vignette of what we really have. You know, we not only maintain our programs, but we embrace the art in our school district, and we embrace athletics, we embrace music programs in our school district, because we recognize the importance of giving students that multiple exposure. So thank you for all that you do. We also embrace moving us toward world-class status, and we know that moving toward world-class status means that we have to constantly upgrade and keep up with the latest technology. And so, listening to our Director of Digital Learning, I'm going to get your title right, eventually, in the next couple of years, I'm going to get it right. But Rocco, I know that there are lots of enhancements. I've heard many kudos coming from this side of the room in terms of enhancements that were made at the schools in the area of technology. So tell us, how did the community support help you to help our schools?
Well, one thing that, and thank you so much, Dr. Jason. I thank the community for their constant support. One thing that Greenburgh says is communications.
Yep.
Even the technology department, we're in constant communication with the community, where they provide feedback. But what's important is to have the right infrastructure in order to support any curriculum incentives or initiatives. We heard the calling, in the sense that the best solution to integrating technology into curriculum and into the classroom is to give the students the tools, the devices. So we began a very aggressive one-to-one program, starting with Bailey with 4 to 6 grade, and then metamorphosizing into the middle school, 7 to 8. And as Ms. Schamberg had alluded earlier, it works. When you put that device in the student's hand and they use it every day and they communicate and collaborate, it actually improves the teaching and learning process. So this was very successful, and for the next initiative is to start looking at the other grades and implement a one-to-one program. Again, with budget support, with the community support, that's a successful model. So we actually pushed the envelope this year. We actually looked at communicating with the community. We, through the incredible achievement of one of my staff members, Laser Alert, we actually introduced an app, and we're one of the few districts that actually has a communication app. So just for information, you can download the app by going to the Apple Store, and it works terrific. We also upgraded our website, made it more, made it easier and friendlier to use in the process. And then something that we're extremely proud of is we introduced home access to our 7 to 12 parents. What is home access? Home access is the ability to access the students' attendance for the parents, the report cards, the transcripts. And we've received very, very good positive feedback. I had pretty much feedback from parents saying, I'm very busy at work, but when I go home, I can look at my child's progress and get back. Our initiative for next year is actually to introduce it now to the lower grades. And that would complete our remote access for our parents to get into information for their child. Again, anytime, anywhere learning, and anytime, anywhere access to information, which is very critical, at least to the parent and the student.
And that's great the point that you brought up in terms of communication, because one of the facets of becoming a world-class school district that you have to enhance how we communicate to our community. And I think we've done that not only through the app, but through social media.
Correct.
Definitely increase our subscription to social media. So I'm encouraging everyone to please visit us on Facebook and Twitter. And we just launched our Instagram account as well. And we're sure that our students and a lot of our younger audience will join us there as well. And so we've done some great work in terms of how we're communicating better with the community. And I know that you're working very closely with our Director of Public Relations, Evelyn McCormick, in bringing the Communications Committee up to date in terms of the best ways of meeting the needs of our community.
This was an initiative this year. It was a new committee with the board's assistance and your assistance as well, Dr. Chase. We actually created a survey, a communication survey to see, to meet the needs of the community, what information, what are they using, how they're asking the information, what would they like to see in the future, and also what kind of connectivity at home. And so far, it's been about 2 weeks that it's been out there. We've been receiving feedback. That's one good thing in the process. I think what's also important to put together is that we're creating a 3-year technology plan along with the Communications Committee and the Technology Committee. And that will be a 2016 to 2019 plan. It's very important to always upgrade your technology plan in order to support new curriculum incentives, new integration techniques into the classroom. The technology department is not just a infrastructure, but it works very closely with the principals and the teachers and the administration in order to provide the best tools in order to enhance the education process.
Right. And look at what we're doing. We're improving communications with our community. We're speaking to our community about the great things that are happening in our school district, and we're just having honest dialogue with one another as well. And you can't forget your 2 gentlemen who are actually behind the cameras here, who are making this possible. And so we thank Steve Lewis and Brian Parker for their support and their expertise as well.
And we talk about world-class. You're sitting in a world-class studio. We're one of the few districts that that actually has a multimedia studio where now instructors are actually coming in, making appointments, creating videos for their plans or educational videos. And we started that last year with the assistance of Mrs. Clarkson. We actually questioned ourselves how much talent we have in this district. Why not use that talent internally to create libraries and sources of information on site? And I also have a database department where the IMO, the Student Information Systems, they work very hard in order to maintain our data as accurate as possible. They also are responsible for attendance gathering and also report card generation. So I thank my staff along with my tech help desk. Again, I thank them very much for their hard work. And thank you, Dr. Chase.
Thank you. Very, very good. And also would like to hear from our new Director of Pupil Personnel, Ms. Terry Kincaid, about some initiatives in which she's launched, and she just arrived at our school district. She's hit the ground running since she's been here. She's working very, very closely with our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Valenti, and I believe she also has some great plans for next year that will help us to actually improve how we actually utilize our money in the school district.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Chase, and thank you to the community for your support. You had touched upon the PLC, Miss Miriam, and I just want to say we have just started a PLC for our special class program. And our special class teachers are writing their curriculum, specifically identifying how it's aligned to the Common Core standards and how they're modifying the curriculum and identifying the teaching strategies that they'll utilize to ensure that students can fill those gaps and make those achievements and address those standards. In addition, this expands, from kindergarten through 12th grade, and the important piece at the high school level is that we're also writing that component for the CDOS certificate. Some of our students who are in our special class programs aren't going on to college afterwards, but the CDOS certificate, which is an occupational studies certificate, identifies vocational components, skills that students need for an entry-level job. So this certificate specifically, achieving this certificate, identifies them as having entry-level job skills. They'll be ready for an entry-level job position. So part of that PLC is writing that curriculum for that specific component.
That's fantastic.
Another piece that we're working on is RTI.
Okay, what is that?
Response to intervention.
Okay.
Response to intervention is specifically interventions that we provide through building level services for non-classified students prior to referral to the Committee on Special Education. We want to give students the supports, strategies that some may need some supports at a tier 1 level, which is in the classroom, and at possibly those who may need additional supports at a tier 2 or tier 3 level. And when we're providing services at the tier 2 level, it's a smaller group. We may be pulling students out, and we may have somebody pushing into the classroom and identifying students with similar needs and addressing what are the skills that they need to make, to be able to access the general ed curriculum. At a tier 3 level, we would be identifying students who may not be making the progress that we're looking for at a tier 2 level, and we want to reduce the number of students. We may need a smaller ratio and increase the level of service, say from 3 times a week to 5 times a week. So we are currently working on that plan, and specifically we are in the process of surveying all staff to identify their top 3 behavioral concerns and top 3 academic concerns, so that as we write the plan and we write what will be the interventions at the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 level, that we can specifically address the needs that the teachers have identified, and that will help guide us in terms of professional development as we move to the 16-17 school year. And as Dr. Valenti alluded to, the having staff, we will be hiring a speech and language pathologist, occupational therapist, and a BCBA person, special education teacher. We can better address those needs in the behavioral and academic areas.
Okay, so this RTI plan that you're speaking about, is this the plan that's only for Lee F. Jackson and Highview?
This is a K through 12 plan.
So it'll be a plan that's consistent?
District-wide.
District-wide?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Mrs. O'Neill, oftentimes when we speak about budget and where does the money go, what the community needs to know is how many students, or approximately what percentage of our budget actually goes to transportation? Because I see so many yellow buses up and down our campus. What percentage?
I would say approximately 5%.
Okay.
Overall, if we're looking at the budget as a whole, where salaries and benefits are 73% of the budget, that includes everybody in the district. But when you look at district-wide, 80% of our budget really goes towards instruction, specific to the buildings. Then we have another percentage that would go towards the support services.
Okay, so in terms of transportation, you mentioned about approximately about 5% of the budget. It's to my understanding that we just hired Mr. Sergio Alfonso, but Sergio was able to help us to review our contracts and to actually help us to save a little bit of money.
Yes, that's correct, Dr. Chase. By reviewing our RFP with our current contractor, from a budget standpoint, we were able to incorporate our high school and middle school 330 activities and add them to our current home-to-school runs. By doing that, we were able to save roughly about $100,000 this year in activity costs.
Wow. kudos to you, and you just got here. All right, not bad. Awesome. Very, very good. Very, very good. Thank you so much for that. So let me ask you a question. We have multiple bus runs. We have bus runs all the way until 7:30 in the evening. Are all of those bus runs truly necessary?
Right now, that's something we're also evaluating.
Okay.
We at Transportation not only try to provide the safest and most reliable service, but also the most efficient service. So through ridership of these school buses and with the help of our contractor, we're taking the ridership, the numbers of the school buses right now, seeing how efficient our runs are at this time.
Okay.
And we're going to review them for the upcoming school year.
Okay. So you're taking an assessment of what's necessary moving forward.
That's correct.
Well, we thank you so much. Thank you. Our last person, definitely not least, is our Buildings and Grounds Director, Mr. Michael Falcone. And as many of you know, we've talked so much about consolidating our schools and moving our schools onto one campus. And that is definitely a goal of the school board as well as everyone who is sitting on this particular panel. But we also recognize that this is not going to happen overnight. This is going to take quite a few years before we actually break ground. In the meantime, we realize that we have an aging infrastructure. Many of our schools are extremely old, and they're beginning to show us just how old they are, Mr. Falcone. Earlier this year, we had to close R.J. Bailey for 2 days. We had a leak at the school where we had to literally shut the school down to make necessary repairs. I think we even had to move children from Highview School to here at the high school and to R.J. Bailey. We've had issues at every school this year to demonstrate that there is a need to repair our buildings.
Absolutely. And first, I just want to let everybody know that facilities is not just for the cleanliness of the buildings, but it's also for the safety of our students and staff. And that comes up with our repair fund that we're going to be asking for.
Well, before we get to that, I just want
Okay.
so before we get to that, I just want to let the community know that it will be necessary to present a separate proposition this
Right.
year along with our 2016-2017 budget. And it's a separate proposition for repair reserve. And Mrs. O'Neill, why do we have to have a separate proposition this year for repair reserves?
Well, the separate proposition allows the voters to vote specifically on that. The proposition that'll go forward would be approximately $700,000. It would represent a one-time 1.24% increase on an individual homeowner's taxes.
So what would that mean for an average homeowner whose home was probably assessed at, I don't know, maybe $6,000?
Roughly $70,
What is-
$70 to $75.
Each year?
Just 1 year.
Oh, for just 1 year?
It's a 1 year.
Okay, so this is a 1 year cost, approximately $70. I would say dinner for two. What do you think? Average dinner for two? At an average restaurant, perhaps? That's not a bad offering. And what we're asking people to do is to support the repairs that are necessary at our schools. Is that what we're doing? Or equipment?
Yes, it is. The Repair Reserve Fund, which was established, we're seeking to fund it. While we anticipate being able to fund it with the voters' support, when the district goes to actually spend money out of the fund, we have to go back and have a public hearing, and the board has to vote on it.
Okay. And so the community will be asked to vote on this particular proposition on May 17th. They'll have the option to vote yes or no on this particular proposition. I just want the community to understand why we're asking for this proposition. So Mr. Falcone, can you just speak to us a little bit about the repairs that are necessary at our school and how they could impact how our students learn and the environment in which they learn?
There's stuff at every building that needs to be done, and we're going to try to prioritize which projects we are going to do first, second, and third. We have it from ECP all the way to the high school to the administration building. We have an ECP. We have a floor that's weak that needs to be glued and screwed down. A new floor at ECP. We have safety issue over at LF Jackson, fencing, that we did a beautiful job. Thanks to the town, we merged with them on putting a playground, but we also needed to add a fence that would stop the students from maybe going over the side of the embankment that's there. We have a driveway that needs to be repaved over at LF Jackson. Highview School, we have a 1955 PA system that it's muffled, we're getting the word across, but it needs to be upgraded. We also have a stairwell over at Highview School that goes down to the lower field, that the railings are falling apart, it's rusted. That's probably built back in 1955 as well. Over at R.J. Bailey, we have a couple things. We have the stage curtains, the rope needs to be redone. The elevator needs a upgrade because you can't get parts for the elevator. There was something else at R.J. Bailey. I'm trying to remember what it is.
Condensation tank?
Condensation tank, thank you. The big one that, the reason why we didn't have school. That is, right now it's only been repaired, temporary repair, just to get us through the winter. That is being priced out as we speak, and that needs to be addressed as soon as possible. The high school, we have the little gym. The little gym has termite damage that has to be ripped up, and also a new floor has to be put down. We have wall pads that are falling off the wall, which is a safety issue. We have treads on the stairwells throughout the high school, middle school, which they're brittle, they're starting to fall apart. That needs to be addressed. Last but not least is the administration building. We have a retaining wall that fell down. First section, second, third section. Now it's going to impede against the mansion itself. These are all safety projects that needs to be addressed. We're probably not going to hit all of it in the $700,000, but we are going to try to hit most of it with the $700,000. And that's very important in this district.
And you're absolutely right. $700,000 isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things with all the items that you've mentioned. And hopefully really soon we'll be speaking to the school district about yet another way in which we could begin to address those needs that you've mentioned. But we really want to prioritize the repairs that are very, very necessary so that we can ensure safe and sound schools. This particular initiative is called Safe Sound School Project. It's very important that we ensure the safety of our children. That's our #1 priority. And when children are in safe environments, it makes it more conducive for learning. And I can't necessarily keep closing my schools and displacing children. I can't continue to do that. And I really want the community to think of this initiative as if this was your home. I'm going to take a page out of Dr. Valenti's book. When we introduced this particular Safe Sound initiative to the staff at the mansion, he mentioned to the mansion, I want you to think, how many hours per day do our students spend in our schools? Just think about it, principals. Many of our students spend more time in the school building than they do at their own homes. That's right. Think about it. If there are repairs that are necessary in our homes, we will fix them quickly, because we don't want our children to be exposed to toxins in our schools. We don't want our kids to be not have heat at home, not have running water at home, not have the proper plumbing at home. We would not want our children to walk on floors that are infested and eaten by termites. We would have that fixed. Think of our schools as our kids' second home. When we invest in our schools, we are investing in our children. This particular proposition will cost you taxpayers probably less than what it would cost you to have dinner with a companion, with your significant other, or with just a friend. Not at a fancy restaurant, but at a simple chain restaurant. And it's a one-time cost to our community. But this one-time cost will benefit the nearly 2,000 students whom you've just heard about from our principals, who are doing exceedingly well and will continue to do well if they are in a safe, sound environment. On May 17th, we ask for the community's support in supporting our budget, which will thus support our children. And we will also ask you to vote on the proposition Repair Reserve Safe Sound Schools. We thank you for your undivided attention. We also thank our principals, our directors, our administrators and supervisors for sharing just a vignette of what's going on in our schools and our school districts. We seek your continued support. You have no idea what your support means to our children, means to our staff, our faculty, our administrators, to our parents, but more importantly, our children. When we improve our schools, we improve our communities. Greenburgh is a wonderful place to live and to learn, and I'm sure you will agree with that. On May 17th, please come to Woodlands High School Gymnasium from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. to exercise your right to vote for our school budget for the 2016-2017 school year. You will also have the opportunity to vote for our separate proposition of $700,000 Safe and Sound School Initiative. We thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you on May 17th.